Oh boy. Well, it's Friday afternoon, and I wanted to share with those of you who are interested kind of a step by step process of laying out sheep netting, electric netting, kind of in a brushy area. And as I was editing, I'm like, this is the most boring thing ever. Nobody's going to want to see this. But I have a feeling that some of you out there who are interested in farming, who are thinking about it, and you'd like to know what's actually involved, I thought I would share this and put it out there for what it's worth. I spent the morning moving the rams, and I spent the afternoon moving the ewes and the lambs and the dogs. Those are all together. And I spent one whole day, basically. Now I do that like once a week. Like that's if you have a part-time farm, if you want to start a farm and you're not ready to go full-time, sheep on brushy land might be the way to go. At least consider it. So at least you know what's going on. And for me, the most valuable tool I have is my DR brush mower. And they're not a sponsor. My dad has had one for 30 years, and this is a more modern, more powerful model. And if you're gonna run netting, it's really nice to have a brush mower, even for if you're just in long grass, because the netting, you want basically two mowers width, and you can just lay the netting out, and you don't have the hassles that you have trying to go through brush using a hand clipper or even a weed whacker. Like, it's a really helpful tool. So you'll see my process, and I hope you like it. If you do, leave a comment below. Go ahead and subscribe. I'm trying to do more how-to stuff along with my regular Sunday message, which is more of a spiritual, musical, reflective kind of a video. But every day I'm out here farming. I'm trying to figure stuff out. And I think hopefully someone else might benefit from what I'm learning. I don't know. I hope so. If not, that's okay too. But I got to put it up. So here it is. And I don't have time to put fancy titles or any of that kind of stuff. So here it is, me moving the rams. This is going to be part one, and I made video of moving the ewes and the lambs and the dogs. And so I'll just put those up for reference, and if they're helpful, just let me know. All right, peace, love, and grooviness over and out. Boom, here we go. All right, so what I want to do is I want to send the sheep into this brushy area and have them come back out. So we're going to use this as the back. So all we need to do is probably one or two, probably two, possibly three other fences through the brush. But in order to do that, I usually pace it off. So I found 60 of my paces, plus or minus, equals one of these fences. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And I think I can actually go a little farther. I have to be aware there are some old barbed wire fences in here, but I found where they are, and they're not this far forward. So I'm going to come here. Then I'm gonna go around, I'm gonna duck under that branch because the sheep will eat this. They will nail that, and then I can trim it later. The idea is, and we'll go on in through there, and it should be interesting. But the thing is to, without killing the trees, to prune the trees, right? So there's actually airflow underneath them. It's better for the trees. The sheep can do that trimming, and we can actually, the trees keep encroaching out into the pasture. So by keeping the trees trimmed and getting all the saplings, we protect the shade, so we can put the animals in here in really hot weather or even cold, windy weather. So they have some protection from wind, from sun, maybe even a little rain, but we're actually increasing our pasture. So it's kind of a win-win. We don't want to just cut down all these trees. Like, that's not the point. The point is to use them and to create a landscape that is increasingly diverse and nutritious for all kinds of wildlife and farm animals. All right, so that's 2.5 minutes, blah, blah, blah. If you've ever heard the phrase, paint yourself into a corner, here's one of those situations. This fence here is keeping them into this small area so that I can prepare the next area to move them. But I need this fence to complete the new area. So what I may have to do is, I have one fence. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that fence and I'm just gonna loop it back to this one as soon as I can. Let them into that so they're contained by that, and then bring the other two fences around and add them to the mix, which makes it a little more complicated. It would be nice to have a couple extra fences. The other thing I can do is I can go up the hill and grab a couple extra fences from the girls' sheep's area, because they're sitting there. Basically bring them down, use those, deploy those. I may only need one to complete this. Then I can just roll up one of these and take it back to the girls. So that's an option too. So part of what takes the time is figuring out, okay, what's the best way to do this around all these obstacles? And these guys are ready to move. You can tell they're paying very close attention. All right, so even though I'm only going 100 feet, I still roll up and tie the fences. Why? I do that because I messed a fence up once. I rolled it the wrong way, and it took me months to get around to untangling it, and it took me, I don't know, 2 hours to untangle it. And this way, instead of dragging the whole thing along, even though it's, all the posts are together, it's so easy to get these tangled that I try really, really intentionally to not tangle them. And it's so much easier to unroll them. And I don't have a tripod with me, but essentially I will untie these, let this roll out, and walk backwards, laying them down. I lay them down, I don't try to put them in the ground as I'm stretching it. And then I'll come back and stretch it out and see where else I need to mow, and I may need to move this back and forth a little bit. There's some shucking and jiving that goes on, so let me see if I can show you some of that. Okay, so I'm gonna try to do this with one hand. Normally I use two hands. So I'm walking backwards, and what I will do is the posts with the ties on it, that's the first one to go down, and I'll just start dropping them as I back up. All right, so I just dropped one and I'm kind of backing up a little, so it's stretching out, and theoretically I could drop the next one and just move back, but the problem is if I do that one-handed, it's gonna tangle down there, but you don't wanna move too fast. This is not the final thing, but that I'm gonna do this now all along this trail I just carved out, and we'll see if one pass of the mower will do it. And the sheep are like, yeah, he's gonna give us new food. All right, boom. So there's quite a few challenges here coming through this kind of brush with this kind of fencing, but luckily there aren't a bunch of little saplings that are snagging me. It's just, a lot of willow action, and the sheep just love willows. They will trim those babies. But at some point I start stretching the fence and it gets overlapped, and that can be a little confusing. So I got to try to manage I'm almost done. I've only got 3 more to go. So And then we'll come in with stepping posts on the corners, and wherever there's trees and stuff touching the fence, we'll just trim those real quick. And so here we go. Next step, still need 2 hands. Unfortunately, I need to get some kind of a holster for this camera. Boom. This is also typical for me of this process is I have this narrow area here, and I could, like, the end of my fence is here. I could literally just bring this section of fence around pretty much just to kind of meet that one. But if I do that, the sheep will get out. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move this fence over here to meet this fence, so that then I can free this fence up to meet the other one. That'll save me a walk all the way up the pasture, or it'll save me 5 other contortions in order to get enough fencing to do this. And then I'll have 2 fences engaged and 2 fences unengaged, so I can prepare for the next move. I hope that makes sense. This is kind of a fun puzzle, but it can also be annoying. And we're so close. So close. I might actually, by walking through here with some stepping posts, I might be able to tighten that fence up and tighten this fence up so that they come together. So I think we're pretty good. So I'm going to go back to the beginning and just tighten things up with stepping posts and see if I can make up this little 1, 2, it's 3 feet, a 3 feet gap. And, or if I can't, then I can just mow a little differently here and get the 3 feet that way. All right, so stepping post time, almost there. All right, here's a little teaching moment. You have to be careful that the electric wires don't get caught under the middle prong. That's bad. So part of what I do is I set things up is to check on that, and glad I did. So this area, I need a stepping post, but I ran out of them. The sheep are not going to jump over that in the first minute. So let me go through here and show you what I did, and then I'll let the sheep in. And ideally, it would be nice to have more than 1 mower's worth. So here's where the 2 fences actually met up perfectly, just with some stepping posts and some adjustments. It would be nice. Ideally, I like to have, I need another stepping post here. I like to have 2 mowers width. But since it's so tangly in here, I gotta trim that. I wanted to see if I could just get away with 1 mower's width. Because everything you mow is not foraged, you know what I mean? It's like you're taking it off the table. And I wanted them to get in here and eat to the edges of their spot. And the next time we come through here, maybe I'll do another row. So we're ready to let the sheep in. I'm just gonna connect this to this. Actually, I don't need to. I just need to open this, connect this to this so they don't go out that way, or I'll just stand there and I'll open it up here. That's all I need to do. And then I'll reconnect it after they come through. So I'll open this up. Sheep, sheep, sheep. Just open it up. They don't need a huge space. Sheep, sheep, sheep. Sheep, sheep, sheep. Sheep, sheep. All right, well, I will close this then because they need to be nudged. This portion of the program has been brought to you by Old Man Sunglasses. You know, ever since I've been wearing Old Man sunglasses, people have thought I was an old man, but I've been wearing them since I was a young man because I like them. All right, now, I just did something very dumb. I filmed the sheep moving in, and it was wonderful. I called them, they came, they went right to the new spot, which is behind me now. And of course, I forgot to press record. So in your imagination, imagine me opening up the gate and letting them through. And we'll be doing this every 3 to 5 days forever, so I'm sure there will be other footage. So I just have to go and take step-in posts to all the places where the fence is flompy, and I got to close this up, and then I can roll the other fences up, and then I have 2 full fences now for their next move. And there's enough, even with just 2 fences of circumference here, there's enough for them for probably a week, because there's only like 5 of them. So that's working, and we have a breeze, which is great. That blows the bugs away, but probably bad for the video. Anyway, back to work. All right, so I'm gonna walk the fence one more time. This is not good. See how it's touching the fence? And I don't have my clippers with me, and here's an area that needs a little bit of support with a step-in post. And I'm just thinking, I am wearing tick repellent clothing. This is one area that I would not come in if I were not wearing this clothing. Hi guys, how's everybody doing in here? Look, you can hardly see them. The forage is so deep, it's so thick. Wouldn't you rather have animals? And I need another step-in post here. Like, I want my animals to have a great life and to eat the best possible forage and to not destroy the environment and to make a positive difference. And it just takes some management. It takes some effort. It takes some work. And, you know, if I were scaled up, I might not do it this way. But this is a great way to get started on land that's brushy, that, like, no landowner is going to turn down somebody who says, listen, I can trim up your edges. I can use the sheep to move the edges back so you have more pasture. Like, even if they don't let you out in their pasture, like, that's an opportunity. And what about landowners who actually would pay you to come and clear their brush? And, you know, give them some ground lamb at the end of it. Like, keep your customers happy. All right, so I got to do some more step-in posts, and then I got to set up the hot wire. I got to set up the solar charger. And again, this is the forage that I want my sheep to eat. And the other thing is we want to grab this before too many of the grasses go to seed. Some of them are, but you know what? Nothing's perfect. But we want to knock them back so that they go back into a vegetative state, and so we can actually circle back through here in a couple of weeks or a month, whatever. All right, I gotta get back to work. See what they're eating over here. Trees, that's good. So I wasn't sure they liked those, so that's a good sign that they do like them. And again, as I've said this 100 times before, we want the sheep to eat up above the soil. We want them to eat up in the air, because the parasites for sheep are down on the ground. So when you graze things really close is when you get into trouble. And you can't always move them when you want to move them, but to think about it constantly and to make that kind of the purpose of your passion or the focus of it, I think is a good thing, a healthy thing, a positive thing, and lots of other good things. Boom. All right, so here's one of the areas I gave them. I gave them this area last week, about 5 days ago. All right, so they really trimmed it. Very few blades of grass going into seed, so it knocked it back. So now it can have a second growth. Over here, I wouldn't normally have left them here an extra week because they'd already done a lot of pruning here, but I wanted them to have shade. So I left them here for an extra week, and I also wanted to see if they would really nail these trees which they did. And now I'm going to mow the trees. So we still have a windbreak. We still have shade, but I'm going to just kind of trim it up around the outer circumference. And what will happen is that'll stimulate these trees to regrow. So they'll be even more tender browse for the sheep the next time we go through, or the cows. The cows have nailed some of this as well. And the cows were here before I had the sheep. So this area got pretty heavily impacted. So we'll kind of watch it and see. It tends to be pretty wet down here in the spring. So I think the regrowth will be amazing. So there, that's where we were. This is where we were. Now they're over there and they are happy. I haven't hooked up the hose to the pump for the water yet, but they're one of their waters is a bucket and it was full, so that'll hold them till after lunch. And hello there. Yeah, you're too woolly for me, sorry. You're just the right amount of woolly. And here comes big boy. Big boy. Dun, 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 dun. All right, so away we go. It's time for lunch. Well, I hope that was helpful. If it was, please subscribe. Please leave a thumbs up. Please leave a comment below. Share this with somebody who might be thinking about starting a farm. And I just want to assure all of you out there who are thinking about starting a farm is you do not need to own land. You don't need to own barns. You don't need to own a big tractor. You don't need haying equipment. You don't need all that stuff. You can start with some electric netting and a solar charged fence electrifying system and a brush mower. I think that's the lowest bar into farming that has ever existed. And so we're grateful for technology. Let's take advantage of it. Begin your learning curve today. Start somewhere. Start growing something or raising something. And I hope you will get hooked on it the way I got hooked on it, because it's the best food in the world. And the kinds of people you meet who are doing the same thing are the best people in the world. And it's just a wonderful experience. I wish that and all the best for you. Peace, love, and grooviness. Over and out. Thanks for watching. Boom.